Hello and welcome to Chester in the wee small hours at the end of a tremendous first day in what is perhaps shaping up as the most competitive Lombard RAC rally ever, with more Grade A drivers than ever before and a colossal battle for the World Championship between Juha Kankkunen and Carlos Sainz. At the end of the day, they were just 8 seconds apart. And a real bonus for the British fans in that Colin McRae kept his cool and kept his foot hard down to climb into second place behind Juha. A tremendous performance, one that perhaps has a great deal for the experience gained during his battle for the national championships. Let's start at the beginning. Sunday is Spectators' Day with 9 relatively short special stages stretching from Yorkshire down to the Midlands, most of them flat, fast tarmac, and we pick up the action at the Great Yorkshire Showground at Harrogate with Alan Douglas.
Just before 8 o'clock Sunday morning, and the stage is set for Carlos Sainz to try to repeat his win of last year. He's had a magnificent year with success around the world. He began steadily through the showground at Harrogate and stayed there to the 4th stage through the splendid grounds of Chatsworth House. But he found the going very slippery, made worse by a minor brake problem. His rival Juha Kankkunen also made a steady if bumpy start. A sparkling drive put the leadership firmly in his hands, completing the longest stage of the day 4 seconds ahead of the previous leader, Markku Alén. Kenneth Eriksson is one of the bright young breed of Scandinavians who are making their name in World Championship rallying, in this case for the Mitsubishi team. He's in command of the 4-wheel drive Galant for the 2nd year running. Didier Auriol is the 33-year-old former French champion, 3rd in the Drivers' Championship after victory in San Remo in October. Pride of place in the opening stages went to Markku Alén. He soared into the lead on the first stage and held on until here at Chatsworth. A newcomer to world rallying is Frenchman Francois Delacour, making his first attempt at the RAC. He had his problems on the first day, having to change the gearbox on his fiery Sierra Cosworth. 40-year-old Timo Salonen has been rallying for 21 years, but even he makes the odd mistake, like here on the Clumber stage.
Is good.
Stig Blomqvist is another Scandinavian veteran, driving for the first time this year the new Nissan, and up to 4th place after the opening stages. Malcolm Wilson's always fast. Just watch him here, making easy work of Clumber.
Right, Max. 300.
The best home performance, though, was coming from the current British champion, Colin McRae, eldest son of the rallying McRae family. The fastest man in Clumber, though, was the former British champion, David Llewellyn, in another diminutive Nissan, the car's first ever fastest stage time on a World Championship event.
That brought us to the so-called, after Chatsworth with half the day gone. This is what the leaderboard looked like. Kankkunen had opened up a 6-second gap over Carlos Sainz. Colin McRae was half at the leaderboard with David Llewellyn and Malcolm Wilson tucked in neatly behind. So that brought us to the so-called super special stage at Donington, where contrary to the norm, the cars went off in batches of 10 at 20-second intervals. A great sight for the spectators. Alan Douglas again. Well, it looks as if we lost sound on that piece of VT, but it does look as if that hectic super special stage is here to stay because it was a great success. But after Donnington Park, in the gathering gloom, they moved on to Sutton Park.
What did you think of the super special, Carlos?
Super specials are not my favorite.
How did you go on there?
In this one, okay. Difficult.
The only problem for us that with the gravel suspension we can only use the very narrow tarmac tires, and on this kind of stage you always lose a little bit because he can use the big one, but it's all right.
And this super special, just 20 seconds apart, the cars, is that a good thing, do you think?
I think it's really excellent idea, really good idea, because it's all about the super specialists. They are about entertainment, and you don't have any gaps. It's good for the audience, and I don't see any drawback. Excellent idea.
You seem to find Gwyndaf's bodywork very entertaining.
No, I'm thinking I'm very lucky that I haven't got the same, to be honest. We had a huge moment on Special Stage 2, Lombard Park. Hannah just spun in front of us. I mean, I didn't see him, but I mean, I saw the black marks. And he said he was doing 150 kilometres an hour backwards. And I got on the radio to warn Gwyndaf, because I think it wasn't it was just the fact that we didn't have the tyres actually warm enough, and the rear end was very, very light. And the first corner we had it as flat left or something in 6th gear, and it just stepped out of line. I mean, my car went on the grass, and I mean, very, very lucky to get away with it.
Of course, we all know what you're waiting for, to get to Wales tomorrow.
Aye, if I can have a good run tomorrow through Wales, obviously, then reseeded at the end of tomorrow night, then that'll be better. The road conditions, you know, will get better. I mean, the problem with running down the field 22, you know, for Colin, myself, and Malcolm really, is that the road conditions do deteriorate. And so we'll all be looking forward to a bit of a reseed on the end of the Welsh leg.
Well, having seen the interviews, we've now got the sound back on the VT. We're going to go back and look at the action in Donnington Park.
The new super special stage at Donington saw cars like a Lenz Subaru coming fast and furious. The pace, setting cars off at 20-second intervals instead of every 2 minutes on the race circuit and its surrounding tracks, was designed purely with spectators in mind. The rally enthusiasts loved it, providing a spectacle which resembled rallycross at a world-class level. Not only did it give the fans a close-up and frantic look at the top drivers in action, it also gave the drivers themselves a rare view of each other's performance. This is Italian hero Mickey Biasion, the former world champion. But a far from happy stage for Louise Aiken-Walker, plagued with gearbox problems all day.
Well, as I said, that super special stage certainly looks as if it's here to stay because it was so successful. They moved on then from Donington Park back to Sutton Park. Sutton Park is a slick 3.8 miles of asphalt, very fast. Colin McRae had his tail up after his quick time at Donington and was really pressing Carlos very hard. Despite his lower starting position, back at 21, he still managed to clip fully 4 seconds off the Spanish driver's time to grab 3rd place. Meanwhile, Juha Kankkunen had been steadily closing on Marco Alén in the Subaru, and at Sutton Park he pressed on to take a 1-second lead. Further down the table, Malcolm Wilson, with a very aggressive drive, managed to hang on to his 8th place overall by returning a fast 3 minutes 39 seconds. A time that was precisely matched by his Ford teammate, Gwyndaf Evans. Despite a somewhat damaged car and the continuing problems of smoke in the cockpit, he moved up from 13th to equal 12th place with David Llewellyn. That took them on in the gathering gloom to Weston Park.
The end of the day, the first easy day, and the battle lines had been drawn. Kankkunen was at the head of the field, but only by 5 seconds. The most stunning drive had come from the leading home entry Colin McRae in his Subaru, newly crowned British champion and now chasing a double world champion. Carlos Sainz had little to grumble about in the Toyota. He's a master of rallying tactics, and joint 3rd place, only 8 seconds behind the leader Kankkunen, was quite satisfactory. Marco Alén hadn't been able to regain his early leadership, but sharing the 3rd place gave him a good starting point for the next 3 days. A battery of lights for Malcolm Wilson as he headed home. And David Llewellyn was pleased with the Nissan, performing well on its first world-class event.
Well, after Weston Park, there were 2 more stages. Trentham Gardens, where Stig Blomqvist's engine died for a while in the water splash, and Alén dived off for 6 seconds into the boondocks. And then Alton Park, which was a quick 2.5-mile dash over the tarmac. And after they survived all that, then they had to get past our own travelling hazard, if you like, Tony Mason, complete with microphone.
Well, you're looking happy you've...
Oh yes, it was. But the day was all right because I didn't do any mistakes and not any main problems, so it's good.